motivated him to do that, except God sent him along. If someone said, I want to do something for you, not to pay me back, don't even bother. Those are great blessings. And you don't want to refuse it because you're proud and mad. You don't have to do that for you. Let the other brother or the other sister do it for you. But rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. David's words about this are very well put. Look back at Psalm 141. Let's go back several pages. Psalm 141. Notice verse 5. David writes, Let the righteous smite me. It shall be a kindness. And let him reprove me. It shall be an excellent oil, which shall not break my head. For yet my prayer also shall be in their calamities. Now, because God hears your prayers, or because you're able and willing to receive rebuke, receive instruction, to receive correction if God sends it by the way of someone else, a preacher, another Christian, or some other means, because you're willing to receive it and learn from it and say, God wanted me to see that. God wanted me to pay attention to that. God wanted me to learn from that. Because you're willing to receive it, this is set in contrast to the wicked man who refuses to be corrected. He refuses to receive any kind of instruction. And your prayers are still heard by God because God, you're the kind of person that's flexible. God can use you. God can mold. He can make you into the kind of Christian you ought to be, as opposed to the person that's not flexible, not compliant, not pliable, and you be used by God and can be corrected by God. That is a cause of calamity for them. Or in the midst of their calamities, they realize your prayers get heard, yours don't. Back to chapter 9 of Proverbs, and let's read verse 9 again. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. There's two prerequisites, two requirements for learning, and they are that a man be wise and a man be just. A man be wise and a man be just. Now, when we talk about someone being just, we mean how do I want to phrase this? We're talking about someone being just. We're talking about the reputation that they possess. It's almost like the reputation that comes from righteousness. Everyone knows that person to be a fair-minded man or a fair-minded woman. They are known for righteousness, and they're known by acts of righteousness, and the quality, the merit, the virtue of their righteousness, all the good that they've done, is like saying someone is just. When I think of a certain person, I think of them as always being fair-minded. They're quick to give someone else the benefit of the doubt. They're not running off their mouth, gossiping about everybody else. And they wait and hear all the information before they render their opinion. They have it. And that's a just man. That's a just woman. That kind of person can be taught. That kind of person can be corrected. But a wise man and a just man, not simply somebody that's talented, not somebody that's learned a lot, or they have natural gifts in one field or another. Over in Proverbs 11, verse 30, he's going to say in verse 30, the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. So a soul winner is also said to be wise. And a Christian should be mindful of what God's done for him and then seek to communicate that to somebody else. How can I get somebody else to see how good God is, how good Jesus Christ is? So a soul winner, someone who is mindful that he ought to be out winning souls and doing something to try and reach somebody else for Jesus Christ, is said to be wise. And when that person is instructed or they're corrected, they're even wiser. You know, you can learn a lot if you just study the lives of other people who have been good soul winners. Now, the method that one person uses might not work for you. They have a different circle of friends. They have different kinds of contacts than you do. Dan Slater is great soul winner, great track soul winner. Dan Slater, who I think Chicks has a new Christian comic book out all about the life of Dan Slater. And Dan's slowing down, but he's still. In fact, he told me not long ago he wants me to help him find an old hearse. He wants to buy an old used hearse because he wanted to plaster the outside of that hearse with stickers and Bible verses. And he used to have one when we first met him. He used to be driving this old, like 1960s, early 70s hearse, really creepy looking. And he had all kinds of scripture on the side windows of that hearse, and a funeral car in the back door. And he carried tracts in about 60 languages, mostly given from Chick publications. He'd go to the swap meet and rent a booth and set up a table, free literature, and he'd have tracts in 55, 60 languages. And, we could do that too. We could do that next year at the LA County Fair. We get some church member to man the booth, just be there for the 2 or 3 weeks that the fair is going on, free literature, and some of those pavilion buildings, you get thousands of people go by your booth every single day. For 3 weeks straight, you get 50,000 people could come by our booth in a couple of weeks. Well, I pass out a lot of tracts. But anyway, so he carries tracts in just about every language. And he'll just walk up to anybody. Guys gardening, guys on a construction job, some guy coming out of the bar, guys, a bunch of motorcycle riders. He just walk up to anybody and just pass out tracts and say, listen, I care about people and I want to tell you about the Lord Jesus Christ. I'll give you something to read. And his style might not be the style somebody else can use. Your job requires you to be in a suit and a tie all day long. You're probably not going to have a big ministry among bikers, right? You're just not in the same proximity with them. And so, you ask the Lord to help me to know what I can do, how I can do it, what's an easy way for me to do it. Someone that's mindful of winning souls is said to be wise. You learn what other people do, what works for them. Maybe I could do that. I heard of a lady that when she would mail in her bills, she would put in a gospel tract. She'd mail in a check for her water bill or electric bill or whatever her bill she owed to Pennies or Sears, whatever thing. She'd mail along with tracts. And God can use that. I heard of a guy that didn't know what to do, but he decided to write a letter asking his politician to read the enclosed tract and understand that he's going to be held accountable not to the people, but to God one day. And he mailed one to all 535 members of Congress, asking them to read his tract. So there's just no limit. And I'm finding out now that I need more tracts in multiple languages. Sister Francis' neighbor came with her to church recently. Sister Flora, she's Filipino. And I went got a package of Tagalog tracts from Chicks and mailed her one. And she was very grateful to receive it. And we look forward to hearing good things about her salvation in the future. And all the donut shops in Pomona are all run by Cambodians. I need Cambodian tracts. There's places in Pomona all Vietnamese. I need Vietnamese tracts. There's Thai restaurants. They need Thai tracts. And I went to a church, Catholic church, a Lithuanian Catholic church in Los Angeles a couple of years back. And I was wishing that I had some tracts written in Lithuanian, because all their church services are done in the Lithuanian language. You know how you say thank you in Lithuanian? Ačiū. Ačiū is thank you. Ačiū is thank you. Lithuanian. It's the only word I learned that day. But ačiū is thank you in Lithuanian. So, there's no limit. All you have to do is just ask God to help you be creative, and think of some way that you could. I got to carry tracts in Korean, not just. I don't need them here at church, honestly, but where I go, I'm running into Korean people a lot. I'll go to work, get out of my car at work, and right as I'm getting out of my car, there's always maybe at least once a week, there's a senior citizen apartment complex around the corner. There's some elderly Korean people walking across the parking lot, heading right by me on the way to the shopping or bus station or somewhere. And so I've passed out tracts to them. Of course, when I see them coming, I'm looking through my car. Well, I hope I have some tracts. And fortunately, I've been able to come up with it when I wanted it. But so you just never know. When you learn from other people that have a good soul, you learn the method that works for one person might not work for another. You might have some unique ability to talk to others that somebody else is unable to talk to. You're a young man, you're a guy, you ought to be endeavoring to talk to other young men, or a lady, talk to ladies. But see, there's the person that receives instruction becomes wiser after that. Verse 10. No, actually, we're still back in verse 9. The just man, in verse 9, can take a teaching, he can learn something from it. The modern world of education, especially in America, is that there is no such thing as the absolute truth. There's no absolute right and wrong. And what you like to do might be right for you, but it's not right for me. You know something? Homosexuality is never right. I don't care who's engaging in it. So the idea, well, you can't just limit marriage to a man and a woman. What about two other people that love each other? That's not a marriage, that's perversion. That's not a marriage. Once you say there's no absolute line drawn between right and wrong, then anything goes. And everything is on its way. Like these same-sex marriage people, it's like you can never, let's say there's water running down the sidewalk, and you've got a broom, you're trying to sweep it back. I mean, just when you think you swept it back, it creeps in over here. You sweep it back, it creeps around over here. You can never get these people to just go away and realize we don't want that. That's not what normal people believe in. That is not what your mom and dad wanted you to do. When you were laying in the crib or in the nursery, in the hospital when you were born, your mom and dad were looking in that window saying, maybe he'll be a doctor, maybe she'll be a famous singer, or maybe they'll be going to business, or maybe he'll arrange flowers with Gary down the street. I mean, nobody in their right mind saw their child in the nursery at the hospital wondering if they're going to be a homosexual. It's the last thing on their mind. I mean, talk about everything being equal. They say everything's equal, we're equal to you. Well, if everything's equal, then everyone's parents should have at least considered, well, he might be a doctor, maybe he'll grow up to be a president, maybe she'll, fall in love with Ellen DeGeneres or something. I mean, you know what I mean? Nobody looks in the nursery with high hopes that maybe their son or daughter will become a pervert. They don't think that way because it's not normal. Right? It's not normal. It's not genetic. There's no scientific proof that he was born that way. But see, once you erase that line between males and females, that marriage isn't just a man and a woman. It could be any two people. Well then, how can you limit it to just two? What if three people all love each other? What if a dozen people? And I've read articles by some of these activists that say, we want to just completely overturn the definition of marriage as the world knows it. A group of people have a group contract, call it a marriage, and they just go in and out of the house with one another at will. And as disgusting as this is, it goes beyond that. What about people, and I don't even want to talk about it, but it's biblical and it's going to happen. What about people and animals? Over in 2005, the country of Spain, they decided to give chimpanzees and monkeys equal rights with humans. So now, if you have a pet monkey in a cage, it is entitled to the same human rights, civil rights that people are in Spain. It's not going to be long before someone wants to marry their pet chimpanzee, their monkey, and they're going to get a license that allows them to do that. Um,